In a video last week, I admitted that I'm an expert in nothing, and that was a very slight lie. Technically, the American educational system, for all of its faults, did decide that I do have an expertise in one thing that I spent a lot of money studying in college. Advertising. That's right. I have a Bachelor of Science from Boston University's world-class advertising program, where essentially I learned how to bullshit people. That's why they call it a BS in communication. It's just talking bullshit. With that in mind, I have been very interested in some advertisements that I've seen lately, or as we say in the biz, TV spots. See, I wasn't BSing about that BS. I know the lingo. Here is one of the TV spots I saw the other day.
There was a mother and a father who had a son. They lived in a small village and didn't have much money. But they were far away from the atrocities taking place in Bethlehem. That's all Mary and Joseph wanted. A safe place to call home.
I'll admit, I laughed out loud when I realized that the product I was watching an ad for was Jesus. And honestly, when I saw this next one, my first thought was Buddy Christ.
Buddy Christ.
And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. My man went out for cigarettes 2,000 years ago and hasn't even sent a postcard since. And someone out there would like for me to invest in his brand? No, thank you. But hey, not all ads are for me, right? I mean, most ads are explicitly not for skeptical, anti-consumerist assholes like me. And these ads are super not for skeptical, anti-consumerist, ex-Baptist, atheist assholes like me. But it seemed weird that I was seeing so many of these ads more and more often when I hardly ever even watch any TV that has ads on it. So clearly whoever is running this campaign thinks that I at least watch the same TV shows as their target demographic. And apparently the largest TV audience in the United States is about to see these commercials during these in 2 weeks. So I finally decided to look into what exactly is going on here. The ads all link to hegetsus.com, a slick little site that offers people the opportunity to follow Bible reading plans, join a group of fellow fans of Jesus, or even to sign up for free text-based prayers. And it seemed like this was an attempt to get casual Christians, as we used to call them in youth group, to become more engaged with whatever church they want. And sure enough, I found an article in Ad Age from 2021 that says that the group behind the campaign found that 54% of American adults are unsure about their faith or have a nominal faith in Jesus. More than half of skeptics are open to exploring more about Jesus, and nearly all skeptics and cultural Christians believe the world would be a better place if everyone lived Christ's teachings on peace, love, and forgiveness. And you know what? I agree. From what I've read, Jesus seems like a pretty okay guy. He was anti-capitalism, pro-immigration, anti-death penalty. And it's not like one of those things where you can read a religious text and just pick and choose verses to support whatever you want. Jesus literally hulked out on people selling their wares in his temple. He was an immigrant. He was put to death by the state. You get it. For anyone who has actually read the Bible, which I think includes most ex-Christians, but very few current evangelicals, we know that if Jesus of the Bible were to come back to earth right now, he would really hate the Republican Party. Not to mention the sight of all of those people wearing jewelry of the thing that he was nailed to. He probably wouldn't be a huge fan of that, especially if they bought it at the church bazaar. My point being, if a group wants to convince more people to get excited about Christianity, I would prefer it be like this, the fuzzy, nice, welcoming, progressive Jesus, and not the Nazi Jesus that a lot of Republicans like to pretend is the real Jesus these days. But of course, when it comes to religion, it's never quite that simple, is it? Because religion is more complicated than just picking up the good things and dismissing the bad things. People do that, but the ease of picking up the good stuff and throwing away the bad stuff is a privilege for the free-thinking non-theists out there. Religions, by definition, come with sets of dogma, leaders who establish and change that dogma, sermons that reinforce that dogma, congregations that normalize that dogma. And so that's when I wondered, when people go to hegetsus.com and ask to join a group, what group are they joining exactly? When they text to ask for prayers, who's praying for them? So the group's paying for the ads is, to give you a very quick summary, a shadowy group of Christian billionaires. That sounds normal and not at all concerning. Join me as we jump down that rabbit hole. Ad Age reported that the campaign is funded by an anonymous group of billionaire donors from the faith-based nonprofit, the Servant Foundation. Who's that? Great question. Sources like Christianity Daily say that the Servant Foundation is this endowment fund run by the Church of the Servant, a wealthy Methodist church in the Oklahoma City suburbs. While the fund is also overseen by the Oklahoma United Methodist Foundation, I learned that the Church of the Servant is currently attempting to disaffiliate from the United Methodist Church, which has been happening quite a lot to quite a number of churches in recent years, thanks to the UMC's ongoing refusal to condone same-sex marriages and other basic human rights for the LGBTQ community. So, good on those churches for wanting to disaffiliate. Not too bad, right? About half of the people attending the church that seems to be funding these ads would like to be inclusive to LGBTQ. Sure, could be worse. Well, hold on, we're not at the bottom of the rabbit hole yet, because I saw another article refer to the Servant Foundation as being based in Missouri, which made me realize that there's just a bunch of different branches of the Servant Foundation, and the Servant Foundation is actually just a DBA of the signatory. DBA stands for Doing Business As, and it's a way for a company to legally come up with an alias that lets them brand themselves in a different way for a different audience. So really, the funder of these ads is the signatory, which is run by these guys. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me just turn up the contrast a little bit. There they are. The signatory is a donor-advised fund, or DAF, dedicated to spreading evangelical Christianity until they can write the last check to the last missionary to be sent out to the last unreached people group so that the last person can hear the gospel, which I'm pretty sure is going to be on that island full of people that murder anyone who gets close. But, you guys do you. That is really the only thing on their website that is sort of concrete and not some generic feel-good lorem ipsum text. And there's a reason for that. The entire point of donor-advised funds is to just set up a way for wealthy people to funnel money towards their pet causes with zero accountability. As I mentioned in a video in 2021, conservatives are using DAFs as a way for the fossil fuel industry to pump money into climate change misinformation. And the Southern Poverty Law Center wrote that same year that DAFs push extremism into the mainstream by becoming the dark money ATM of the conservative movement. That one's from a Mother Jones article. For the signatory, they're all of that with a distinct Christian flavor. In addition to the He Gets Us campaign, the signatory has also given money to creationist kooks, Answers in Genesis, and SPLC-designated hate group Alliance Defending Freedom, as reported by Chrissy Stroop over at Religious Dispatches, who I was very glad to find because my eyes immediately crossed while skimming the list of hundreds of ministries the signatory's godly gazillionaires support. Because of the way DAFs operate, we have no way to know who the billionaires are who are funding this campaign tax-free, and therefore what their ultimate motivations might be. Luckily, many billionaires are, contrary to popular belief, incredibly stupid, which is how I know that at least one of them funding this campaign is David Green, the founder of Hobby Lobby. Green went on Glenn Beck's show last November to brag that we are about to see the He Gets Us ads he funded on the right after he talked about winning that court case that allowed his company to stop their employees from using their own personal insurance to pay for birth control pills. He literally segued from celebrating denying women's health care to complaining about being hated for being a Christian to bragging about paying like $14 million for 60 seconds of airtime during the genius. So yeah, the touchy-feely ads for Jesus may have a dark underside. Shocking, I know. Next up, why those Cool Ranch Doritos aren't actually as cool as you've been led to believe. While researching all of this, I came across a number of people who think that this is all going to backfire for the religious right, mostly because, if you have to advertise for Jesus, that means Jesus has already failed as a product. I'm not quite that optimistic. I think in general, people, especially smart people who think of themselves as free thinkers, underestimate the power of advertising. I assure you that Doritos and Bud Light and Coca-Cola are not in financial trouble. Their products are selling just fine, but they still have a healthy advertising budget, and you're probably going to see them during the You aren't immune to marketing just because you notice it when it happens to be a product you personally find repugnant. I suspect that these ads will draw in a certain subset of people, namely people who have that low-level belief in God, but who lack community and connection, especially these days as loneliness and social isolation become really serious barriers to good mental health. Religion and other forms of magical thinking and superstition, they succeed when fear and uncertainty reign. And I think we're in a time where that's happening. According to Christianity Today, He Gets Us doesn't vet what churches sign up to be the ones answering those calls for help. So a commercial about how Jesus invited everyone to the table could easily lead, say, an at-risk closeted gay teen to a church that sponsors conversion therapy, just to pull the first worst-case scenario that happened to come to my mind. And just that one slight possibility is enough for me to, unfortunately, not be able to easily dismiss this as a waste of some billionaire's chump change. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you think the world could use more videos like this and you happen to have a few bucks laying around, head to patreon.com/Rebecca and join an awesome community of nerds like the people whose names you see on the screen right now. Thanks.